Elwell Stephen Otis, March 25, 1838. October 21, 1909 was a U.S. Army general whose career spanned the American Civil War, Indian Wars, Spanish-American War, and Philippine-American War. Below is a detailed account of his life, career, and military story based on available information. Early life and education of Elwell Stephen Otis, born March 25, 1838, in Frederick, Maryland. Education: attended the University of Rochester, graduating in 1858. During his time there, he joined the Iota chapter of St. Anthony Hall Fraternity of Delta Psi, a notable literary and social fraternity. Enrolled at Harvard Law School, earning his law degree in 1860, early career, briefly practiced law in Rochester, New York. Before the outbreak of the American Civil War in 1861, prompted him to enlist in the Union Army. Military career of Elwell Stephen Otis. Elwell Stephen Otis, 1838 to 1909, had a distinguished military career spanning over 4 decades, with significant roles in the American Civil War, Indian Wars, Spanish-American War, and Philippine-American War. Below is a concise overview of his military service: American Civil War, 1861 to 1865. Enlistment in September 1862. Otis joined the Union Army as a captain in the 140th New York Volunteer Infantry Regiment. Formed in Rochester, New York, fought at Fredericksburg, 1862, Chancellorsville, 1863, and Gettysburg, 1863. Where his regiment suffered heavy losses, 133 men killed or wounded at Gettysburg. Took command of the regiment at the Battle of Spotsylvania, 1864. After the colonel was killed, led the 1st Brigade, 2nd Division, the 5th Corps at the Battle of Peebles. Farm Chapel House during the Siege of Petersburg, October 1, 1864, where he was severely wounded, ending his field service. Promotions: promoted to lieutenant colonel. On December 23, 1863, received a brevet promotion to Brigadier General of Volunteers. On March 13, 1865, for gallantry at Peebles Farm, discharge, left volunteer service in January 1865 due to his injuries. Post-Civil War and Indian Wars 1867 to 1893, regular Army, stayed in the regular Army. Appointed Lieutenant Colonel of the 22nd U.S. Infantry in 1867, despite lacking formal military training. Indian Wars, served in the American West, participating in campaigns against Native American tribes, including in Montana following the Battle of the Little Bighorn, 1876. Commands and roles: commanded the School of Infantry and Cavalry at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, 1881 to 1885, focusing on military training. Promoted to Colonel of the 20th U.S. Infantry on February 8, 1880, promoted to Brigadier General in the regular Army on November 28, 1893. Led the Department of the Columbia and Department of Colorado. Spanish-American War and Philippine-American War, 189-81900. Philippines assignment in May 1898. President William McKinley appointed Otis Major General of Volunteers and sent him to the Philippines to reinforce General Wesley Merritt during the Spanish-American War. Assumed command of the 8th Army Corps, replacing Merritt. Appointed military governor of the Philippines on August 28, 1899, serving until May 5, 1900. Philippine-American War led operations, including the Battle of Manila, 1899, against Filipino insurgents under Emilio Aguinaldo. Known for a rigid leadership style, earning the nickname Granny due to his age and gray hair. Faced criticism for limited delegation and harsh tactics. With reports of American forces using water, torture, and other brutal methods, though Otis denied widespread atrocities. Responded to Aguinaldo's peace emissary during the Battle of Manila, with fighting having begun, must go on to the grim end administration. As military governor, Otis managed civil affairs, opening ports to commerce, and maintaining local governance. His reports detailed military and civil operations. Victory and return: declared victory over Filipino insurgents in May 1900. Returned to the U.S. and was celebrated as the hero of the Philippines with a congressional ovation and a grand procession in Rochester. Post-Civil War and Indian Wars 1867 to 1893. Elwell Stephen Otis. Following his service in the American Civil War, Elwell Stephen Otis remained in the regular Army, embarking on a significant phase of his military career during the Indian Wars and administrative roles in the American West. Below is a concise overview of his activities from 1867 to 1893. Transition to regular Army appointment. In 1867, Otis was appointed Lieutenant Colonel of the 22nd U.S. Infantry, a notable achievement for someone without formal military training. Reflecting his Civil War record and determination, unlike many Civil War volunteers who returned to civilian life, Otis chose a career in the regular Army, focusing on frontier defense and military organization. Indian War service in the West. Otis participated in campaigns against Native American tribes, primarily in the Great Plains and Rocky Mountain regions. Post-Little Bighorn, 1876, served in Montana following the Battle of the Little Bighorn, where L.T. Cowell, George Custer's defeat heightened military efforts against the Sioux and other tribes. Otis's role involved securing territories and protecting settlers during a period of intense conflict. The nature of campaigns. His duties included leading patrols, maintaining order at frontier posts, and engaging in skirmishes with Native American groups resisting U.S. expansion. Specific battles are less documented, but his service contributed to the Army's broader efforts to subdue tribes and enforce reservation policies. Key commands and roles: School of Infantry and Cavalry. From 1881 to 1885, Otis organized and commanded the School of Infantry and Cavalry at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. This institution trained officers and soldiers in tactics, discipline, and frontier warfare, enhancing the Army's professionalism. Departmental commands. Department of the Columbia oversaw military operations in the Pacific Northwest, managing posts and ensuring security in regions encompassing modern-day Washington, Oregon, and parts of Idaho. Department of Colorado commanded forces in the Rocky Mountain region. Focusing on territorial defense and logistical coordination. Promotions. Promoted to Colonel of the 20th U.S. Infantry on February 8, 1880. Promoted to Brigadier General in the regular Army on November 28, 1893. Recognizing his long service and administrative competence, contributions, and writings. The Indian Question. 1878, Otis authored this book. Reflecting on his experiences in the Indian Wars, it discussed the challenges of Native American relations, military strategy, and U.S. policy toward tribes, offering insights into his perspective on frontier conflicts. Administrative skills, known for his meticulous and disciplined approach. Otis excelled in organizing military posts, managing logistics, and maintaining order, which earned him respect among peers, but also a reputation for rigidity. Challenges. The Indian Wars were marked by complex and often brutal conflicts, with the U.S. Army enforcing policies that led to significant Native American displacement and suffering. Otis's role, while typical of Army officers of the era, placed him within this controversial chapter of American history. Impact. His work at Fort Leavenworth and in Western commands helped professionalize the Army, preparing it for future conflicts. However, his involvement in the Indian Wars aligns with broader criticisms of U.S. policies toward Native Americans, Spanish-American War, and Philippine-American War. 1898 to 1900, Elwell Stephen Otis. Stephen Otis played a pivotal role in the Spanish-American War and the subsequent Philippine-American War, serving as a major general and military governor of the Philippines. Below is a concise overview of his military contributions and controversies during this period. Spanish-American War, 1898 appointment. On May 4, 1898, President William McKinley appointed Otis Major General of Volunteers and sent him to the Philippines to reinforce General Wesley Merritt during the Spanish-American War. Role. Otis arrived in the Philippines to support operations against Spanish forces. He assumed command of the 8th Army Corps after Merritt, participating in the campaign that culminated in the capture of Manila on August 13, 1898, effectively ending major Spanish resistance. Context. The Spanish-American War was a brief conflict. Following the U.S. declaration of war against Spain, with key operations in Cuba and the Philippines, Otis's role was primarily logistical and administrative during this phase, as the Spanish surrender came swiftly. Philippine-American War, 1899 to 1900. Military Governor. Otis was appointed military governor of the Philippines, serving until May 5, 1900, while retaining command of the 8th Army Corps. Key operations: Battle of Manila, 1899, led U.S. forces against Filipino insurgents under Emilio Aguinaldo, who sought independence after Spain's defeat. The battle marked the start of the Philippine-American War. As tensions escalated when Otis rejected Aguinaldo's peace emissary, reportedly stating, "Fighting, having begun, must go on to the grim end," oversaw campaigns across Luzon, targeting insurgent strongholds. His forces faced guerrilla warfare, which prolonged the conflict. Administration as military governor. Otis managed both military and civil affairs, issued orders to open Philippine ports to commerce, boosting economic activity, maintained municipal laws to ensure local governance as detailed in his reports on military and civil operations, established a framework for U.S. control, balancing military suppression with administrative reforms. Victory and return, Declaration of Victory, in May 1900. Otis declared the insurgency defeated. Though guerrilla fighting continued after his departure, he returned to the U.S., hailed as the hero of the Philippines. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more military and geopolitical updates.